Right. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to Developod. That's the podcast by IATEFL TD Teacher Development Special Interest Group, sponsored by Cambridge and TOEFL. I'm Sinem, one of the committee members, and in today's podcast, I'm going to be interviewing Rachael Roberts. Well, hello, Rachael. Welcome to our podcast.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here.
The same here, Rachel. I know how busy you are, and it's indeed a pleasure having you with us. So I can't thank you enough on behalf of TD SIG. So thank you. Let's start, Rachel. So, as an initial question, could you tell us how you would describe your ELT self?
I've been in ELT for quite a long time now, more than 30 years. So
Wow.
it has been quite a journey, really. So I started out as a classroom teacher working in private language schools
Mhm,
in Portugal and Brazil and then Poland. Um, Over time, I've moved into teacher training. I was a CELTA and a Delta tutor.
mhm,
Academic management, never doing that again. Um, Materials writing. So I've seen the profession from, yeah, quite a few different angles,
yeah.
really.
Right. So you've worn a lot of hats, maybe some of them at
Absolutely.
the same time.
Mm.
So we will go deeper and deeper into your roles in the following questions. So if you look back at your early teaching years, then Rachel, so what did you sense was missing in traditional language education?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I'm not sure that I did sense it at the time. Um, but I think what I would say looking back now is that what was missing, and I think, still is probably missing for a lot of teachers who are early career,
Mhm.
is an understanding of the complexity that's actually involved.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm not just talking about, learning English grammar, although that's part of it. If you're an native English speaker like me, that's definitely part of it, but about like the whole process of learning, the fact that it is actually very relational, contextual, it needs a lot of judgment.
Yeah.
And I think that is often overlooked. I've been helping my daughter look for a summer job recently, and she's looking at like sort of activity leader on summer camps and things.
Mhm.
And quite a few schools are still taking people on to teach English and
Yeah.
saying training's provided, like it's something you can pick up in an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I didn't realize that, but I should have done,
Yeah.
put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. So as I always said, Rachel, I always say that our only duty is not to teach the grammar, but we have a lot of things to consider, a lot of
Mm.
trainings we need to have so that we can model our learners as well. So
Mm.
yeah. Okay. So, Rachel, most of us know that you have won the Small Business Mentor Award at the 2026 Small Business Awards UK for
Mhm.
excellence in business coaching and mentorship. So, what was the aha moment that led you to create Earn, Learn, and Thrive?
So it was quite a long journey in a way, like everything about my career.
Yeah.
But I think the first step probably was back in about 2002.
Mhm.
And I decided to train as a counselor and psychotherapist,
Wow.
mostly because, well, no, partly because I wanted to learn more, I think, about myself, which I think is why a lot of people go into that sort of thing, but also because I was at the time a CELTA tutor and a manager
Mhm.
and having a lot of conversations where I didn't feel I was that well equipped to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I didn't ever go into practice as a counsellor, but I kind of had that in my back pocket. And then about 2017, I realized I was materials writing full time at that point. And I was enjoying it. And I was quite good at it, and I was earning a decent amount. But I really miss direct contact with people and that sense of like actually making an impact.
Mhm.
And so I went back to study. I did a diploma in coaching
Wow.
and I started doing some what I called life coaching at that point,
Mhm.
but mostly with people from within our industry. And over time, what I realized was that in the vast majority of cases, what was causing problems for these people was actually around the way that they were working, the way they were overworking,
Mm.
being undervalued and underpaid. And so I kind of started business coaching really because that was what people needed.
Mhm.
And then reached a point where I kind of decided to own it, if you like, and go into it like, full on, if you
Mhm.
like.
Mhm. So that's been so long then. So
Mm.
2002, you started. Oh my God. Wow. So, and you have your award this year. How does it feel to have an award with your business then?
It's really nice actually to, I mean, I'm slightly blushing even with you saying it. But it's nice to have that kind of
Yeah.
recognition
Yeah.
because, I do think obviously coaching, and business coaching is one of those things where it's what people call a credence good. In other
Yeah.
words, you have to kind of believe
Yeah.
that it's going to work. You
Yeah.
can't really tell except by doing it.
Yeah.
And so having something like that, obviously I also have lots of, stories from my clients and so on, but it it
Definitely.
it does help, I think, to build that
It
trust.
does. It
So it's
does,
nice to have.
really. Yeah. We know that
Mm.
you've been valued and respected, you're well known, and so. But this is just another proof that your
Mm.
business is valued and seen and respected. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
which is
yeah.
nice.
Well, which is
Mhm.
nice. Yeah. So, what does what you do actually look like in practice? I mean, when someone comes up to you, how do you help them build a more sustainable business?
So, yeah, I think it's interesting that it's not a simple question to answer, I guess. But it's important in a way to talk about that complexity because I work with people who do relatively different things. They're generally within the language teaching world. They're not always, but they might be teachers, they might be coaches, they might be teacher trainers, or anything kind of in that service-led kind of space.
Mhm.
And although they're all doing quite different things, some of them are purely teaching online, some of them are purely teaching face to face, some of them are selling digital courses.
Mhm.
So it can be quite different. But I think they all kind of basically need the same thing. And that's quite interesting because sometimes people say to me, how can you work with people who are just starting out and people who've already been in business for a while?
Mhm.
And actually, it works pretty well because they're all missing
Mhm.
some of the basic foundations, is what I find.
Right.
So people tend to focus on things like, I need to post more often, or I need to be more visible, but if you don't have the underlying foundations,
Yeah.
that doesn't really have the impact that you want. It's like throwing jelly at the wall, and
Yeah.
hoping something sticks. So
Yeah.
the first thing that we do with everybody really is to step back and look at the bigger picture and explore who they're actually trying to help. And often, even though they might think they have a niche,
Mhm.
like, I teach business English or I teach IELTS, or they haven't really thought about who those people are, why they need that thing, what it is exactly that's getting in their way. So
Mhm.
we dig into that a lot more. And then out of that comes their offer,
Right.
which, as I say, could be any number of different things, but it will be tailored exactly
Mhm.
to the needs of those specific clients and the change that
Right.
they want to create with those clients. And
Right.
then we move into, shaping that into a message or a series of messages and thinking about where to put those messages out. So
Mhm.
people are often focused on that top layer
Right.
of just getting the message out, but they don't really know what the message should be yet, or
Yeah,
sometimes even what the offer
yeah.
should be.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
definitely, definitely. Well, from the very first talks that I listened to you years back then, I started changing my posts on social media, but I need to have an appointment from you to go deeper and deeper, honestly, as soon as I find the right time. But I know that I remember you saying if we want to post something on social media, it's not good to start, I'm pleased to attend something like that. It's not a good way of, and when I reflect back on me, when I hold the mirror to myself, I realize that it's, they say that it's the IQ that gets you the job. It's your EQ which helps you to have to be promoted,
Mm,
and it's your CQ, your curiosity quotient, which makes you sustainable in a profession. And that
mm,
brings me to that, honestly. So if you create that curiosity in the connections that you have,
mm,
that means you're at the right place, I might say.
mm.
Is that so?
Yeah, I love that. And actually, I think the EQ is also really important
Yes. Yeah,
because I think, it's not surprising because like we see examples of marketing all the time that are really quite icky.
yeah,
Um, but I think good marketing is absolutely about empathy. It's
yeah,
about really understanding the person that you're trying to reach
yeah.
and showing them how well you understand them.
Right.
And
And
actually, teachers are really good at that,
yeah,
you
definitely,
know. And
definitely.
and the reason I'm not keen on that, I'm delighted to announce, is because it just reinforces this idea that marketing your business is like getting a big megaphone and just yelling about it.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and it's not about that at all. It's about building relationships. It's about showing empathy, as I say, and then it's about making it clear to people
Yeah.
what the steps are
Hmm.
towards working with you. So
Right.
you can hear from that. It's very much like teaching.
It is. It is really. So what's
Mm.
in it for them? We need to
Yes,
give that message to them as well. Right.
yes. Mm.
So, oh my God, we need to learn a lot from you, Rachel. So, oh yeah. So now let's move on to your IATEFL plenary, Rachel. As I was invited to another conference, I wasn't there, but as soon as I came back, I listened to the recording and I really enjoyed every second of your talk.
Thank you.
So, could you tell us about your IATEFL 2026 experience as one of the plenary speakers?
Well, obviously, it was a huge honor, um, and absolutely terrifying. I've done a lot of public speaking,
Yeah.
and I've never had my mouth go dry in the way that it did at the beginning of the talk. It was that moment, when I realized, oh God, I really am nervous about this. you know. But once I got going, I did enjoy it. I mean, I was very pleased to be asked, and it's actually 2026 marks 30 years since my first IATEFL.
Wow.
So that was quite neat in a way, a bit of a full circle kind of
Yeah.
moment. And I think what mattered most to me was using that space to say something that I felt needed to be said,
Yeah.
even if it's a little bit
Yeah.
uncomfortable. Um, we all know that there are huge changes
Yeah.
taking place. And I think, given that, it's very easy to feel sort of overwhelmed and maybe even a bit hopeless, like everything is acting on us. And, obviously, there is a lot that we can't control, but I am a big believer in focusing on what we can control,
Mhm.
because that's the only thing that we can do. And I do think we have a lot more agency than we realize. And a lot of it is about looking within really, and what we're prepared to accept, the stories that we tell ourselves about, oh well, what did you expect coming into ELT, and I think we have to do better with that, because if we don't, we are going to get eaten alive.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the reality of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And at the end of your plenary, I remember you were saying it's not what's going to happen to us as teachers, but what kind of profession do we really want to build from here?
Mm.
So, what's your personal answer to that?
So, well, I mean, I think, it was kind of implied in a way. I think a profession which,
Hmm.
where our expertise is recognized and valued, including by us, but not just that, but that's reflected in how people are paid and treated,
Yeah.
because I think sometimes there is that it's sort of either or, you know, we shouldn't expect to be treated well or paid well because our students love us. Well, we can have both. It
Yeah.
is allowed.
Yeah.
And I think as a general rule, yes, moving away from models where we're kind of commoditized and our sort of individual skills and experience are not recognized,
Hmm.
and focusing on the real work that we do, the human connection. You mentioned, like, the EQ, for example, and the curiosity quotient, and all of those things are important. And taking some responsibility, I
Yeah.
think, ourselves for how we position our work, what we accept,
Hmm.
and how we contribute, like,
Hmm.
to the wider
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Wonderful. So, when you think about your own journey, Rachel, what are you most proud of?
Oh, well, I think the work that I have been doing in the last 7 years since I started the coaching is the work I'm most proud of.
Hmm.
And in fact, it's not even the work, it's the people that I've worked with.
Hmm.
Um, because, I know that I've seen probably literally hundreds of teachers who were overworking and undercharging and doubting themselves
Yeah.
shift that. And, I wanted to have more of an impact.
Yeah.
And yes, it's still a relatively small drop in the ocean, of course, but just knowing that, that ripple effect
Hmm.
is really important to me. Um, and I think I am also proud of the way I've built my business, because I do strive to do so in what I believe is an ethical
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I don't believe in pushing people into things or using kind of underhand
Hmm.
tactics.
Yeah.
Um, And I love the fact that, everything's in my own hands. That's a bit scary sometimes too.
Yes.
But after years of being dependent on, like, big companies, it's
Yeah.
very freeing.
It is. It is indeed. So we've been talking about this learner autonomy, and
Mm.
you yourself is autonomous right now, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think, probably I am a bit of a control freak.
Yeah.
So that might be part of it. But
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing for me that I love. I mean, I've now been self-employed for um where is it, 18 years,
Wow.
and I think I'm totally unemployable now. So,
Right. Wow. Which is good. So I
yeah.
will be following your footsteps because very newly, very recently, I took off my institutional head and I got retired from a state university. So
Ah.
I am a freelancer right now. So I think I have time
Mhm.
to be connected with you more and learn
Great.
from you, Rachel. So well, coming closer to the end, Rachel, we talked about a lot of things, and if you could whisper just one message to every language teacher in the world, what would it be?
Well, I think it has to be, like, take yourself more seriously,
Yeah,
and the work that you do, not in a kind of um, pressured way, as in you should be working harder, but in a way of just recognizing the value of what you do.
yeah,
Because if you don't, how can you expect other people to do it?
yeah. Wow.
Mm.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Rachel. What a pleasure having you at our podcast. We really appreciate you being with us, even though you do have a very busy life, very busy professional life and personal life. So, as a final note, if our listeners want to reach out to you, what's the best way to find you?
So I spend quite a lot of time on LinkedIn.
Yep.
So that
Yeah,
would be
right.
quite a good place to start. Or
Yeah.
my website is Earn, Learn, Thrive in ELT.com.
Right. And as my personal experience, if they subscribe to Earn, Learn, Thrive, they receive mails regularly from Rachel Roberts, and every day is a new day to learn from Rachel, right?
Yes,
That's
no, come and join the mailing list and you'll be
yeah,
the
yeah,
first to find out about
yeah, yeah,
everything that I'm doing.
yeah. Right. So, yes, everyone. So make sure you reach out, Rachel, and make sure you subscribe our Developod and follow TDSIG on social media platforms and YouTube as well. You're going to find out more podcast videos and our events on YouTube. So for more podcast, webinars, events, journals, web carnivals, whatsoever, please do follow us. So thank you so much, Rachel. Hope to
Thank you.
see you very soon again and hug each other and learn from you.
Thank you very much. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
The same here. Thank you.